To experience the lightness of the soul, we have to know how to come out of the world of form and matter. We have to come out of the tunnels of
that was a wrong
situations that
thing.
we confine ourselves in. If we stay trapped in the situations and scenarios around us and see only the physical and hear about only the physical, it'll be difficult to let go.
हाँ.
So allow yourself to forget all of that right now. Ask yourself internally,
नमस्कार
when I let go
दोस्तों,
of
स्वागत
my
है आप सभी
story,
का हमारे प्रोग्राम जिंदगी बने
when I
आसान में।
let go of the
दोस्तों, हमारी बहुत ही
scenes
खूबसूरत
and
सीरीज चल रही है
situations, become lighter and lighter. Feel yourself come out of your body as you feel yourself travel beyond your corner of the world, beyond your situations, a place where you are as vast as the sky, to a place where you are pure, serene, joyful light. Allow yourself to go even more deeply into that stillness, feeling more and more relaxed as you let go and begin to feel yourself as light, as spirit, as a spiritual being who is more than what they experience in that world. And as you savor this vastness, allow yourself to step into an even higher dimension. Where you experience the sacredness, the beauty of yourself as just light energy. Pure light. And feel how that light touches every corner of the globe. Feel how that light expands beyond edges and borders. Allow yourself to absorb the light of the divine, of God. And imagine that light just like a great, beautiful sun that pours onto you and restores your life, your vitality, your expansiveness. And become aware right now that there are billions of souls out there. And so often we don't connect with them because we're connected in our own story. We're bound by the gravity of our own story. But now that you are beyond all that, become aware of every soul in the universe and feel your eternal connection with this family of souls. Become aware of how each one of them right now could use the pure energy of the light that's emanating from you. Allow this light to touch every soul in the universe. Feel yourself unfurling with this pure spiritual energy. Feel it growing and expanding as you connect with God and connect with every soul. And just bathe in that light. Soak up that light. And feel yourself becoming so absolutely silent. Yet so happy, so free, so alive. Each day it's so important that we see ourselves as light, that we see the truth of who we are. And to do that, we have to be willing to drop our story for just a few moments and rise into that connection with the divine. Continue to allow the light that pours on you from the divine to also pour onto your entire world family of souls. You can see yourself as just shimmering, pure, bright, vital energy, filling every soul, connecting with every soul with this pure, joyful, peaceful, pure light energy. Just continue to soak in that divine love and light from God. Seeing yourself in this form of light opens you up to the ability to communicate with the divine. And having had that communication, return now to the world of your story, of your corner of the globe, of your current situations, but know that you have the ability to transcend them, to remember your light, to connect in light, and to return to these with pure spiritual energy.
Om Shanti, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome back to another session. Om Shanti. Good afternoon and welcome back to another session of nurturing our inner garden. Thank you so much for joining us again this afternoon. And before we jump into today's session, just wanted to take a peek into what we have been talking about so far. Together as a group, we've been trying to explore our inner garden. What makes the inner garden? What values make it fragrant? And what thorns prick us from the inside? And before I jump into the session, just a quick check. Is everybody able to see my screen? Can one of the participants please respond in chat if you're able to see us in the screen? Are you able to see my screen? Chat is disabled. Oh, I see. Okay. Thank you, Tanvi. But you're able to see. Okay, great. Let's continue. Today is the second session we were talking about. We started this topic last Sunday. And what we were trying to understand as a group is what is the significance of our inner spiritual garden? Why we need to take a look at it and why we need to pay attention to it, because that's what creates our destiny. I'm going to request the co-host to help us enable the chat so that as we go along, if there's something that comes up, we can take a look at it. Before we get into today's class, let's actually look at let's just for a minute, let's actually look at what we spoke about last Sunday. So we spoke and we discussed that there are a couple of external factors that affect and have an effect on our value systems. They can be external situations where we were brought up, or what kind of past values we came up with, what kind of environment was around us, including workplace, family systems, also our parents' value systems. And all of these combined definitely had an effect on how we form our values. What we are today is a combination of all of that. But along with that, we also looked at one method by which we could change or bring about the change we are looking for ourselves in. We wanted to see how we can jump from one bowl to the other, meaning how we can change our current arrangement of the inner garden, our spiritual inner garden, by exercising willpower and determination. So I just want you to hang on with that thought. And what we should do before we jump into the session is we should actually sit and clear up our senses one more time so that we are ready to absorb and soak in what we will be learning today. Okay, so please bear with me while I try to get us set up for this session of meditation. And I'd like to guide us through this commentary, and we will go along to experience this together. Sit back and relax. Find a comfortable position so that I soak in everything. I surrender through my mind. And I relax my body. I sit in front of the Master Sun. And I fill in all the willpower, all the calmness, all love and peace that I need to play my role as part of this drama. I take a deep breath in and I release it very, very slowly. I sit comfortably but keep my back straight. I roll back my shoulders and I soak in the divine, beautiful, pure, and empowering energy. In the presence of this light, I feel like a child, his child. And I look upon the divine light to guide me to my destiny and to help me look inside my spiritual garden and help me remove the thorns. And with that signal to my mind, I come back to the place where I'm sitting with a calmer mind and a relaxed body. And I'm ready to take in what my mind and my heart will gather this afternoon. Thank you, everyone, and welcome back. If anybody needs to put some details on the chat, I'm going to let me just get some help. Actually, I'm going to promote one of our co-hosts so that she could help us in this process, so that because today's session, let's make it a little bit more interactive. Okay, so just hold on. And I am going to have Sister Loka. And I'm going to make sure that she's able to help us today in this session. And by now, you guys must have figured out I'm not very good with technology. I'm more of a in-person kind of a person, but let's see what I can do right now. So bear with me while what you can do is continue taking a nice deep breath, grab your water, take a sip, and put your phone away. And I'm not able to see Sister Loka. So let me see if I'm able to do this. If not, then I will try to make one of you the attendees every time. Okay. So I'm getting some help and she is asking me, she's teaching me how to. Okay. So this should work. Let's move on. Let's take a look at today's session and look at some of the elements that prevent from our fragrant garden from blooming, even though we think we are nurturing it properly. So let's take a look at this right now. And you're able to see my screen, right? Yes. Are you able to see my screen now? Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. Let's go over some of the things we spoke about last time. Does anybody remember what were some of the elements that kind of help us or point us in the right direction that we want our destiny to go to? Does anybody remember that? And if so, could you put that out in the chat just so that let's see if it's almost like a revision.
when I'm still promoting people to panelists, and I think they have to accept.
If you remember, we spoke about thoughts and the kind of thoughts that are coming. And then we spoke about how okay, so looks like Melanie, you did confirm we're still not able to get chat access. Okay, I'm getting help, and I have Sister Loka who's going to help us now. Sister Loka, are you able to enable chat for everyone now?
Can you hear me, Geeta-ben?
Okay, if you want to try, if somebody wants to try chatting now, I believe we have fixed that, so we should be able to do that now. Okay, so yeah, so Sister Loka is working in the backdrop and she's going to get us started. And I'm going to request Sister Loka to actually make me the co-host so that I can start screen share. And so you'll see a pop-up on your screen. And when you see that pop-up, you need to accept it. So when you accept that, then you're able to chat with us. And okay. So if anybody has already accepted the chat session, we'll be able to communicate now. Oh, there is nothing on screen even though you're screen sharing. So you're not able to see my screen still? Yes, so we are all going to be panelists and hosts today for this session. That's the way we're going to figure it out, how to make this work. But if somebody can confirm, once everybody confirms they're able to see my screen, then we can move forward, because according to Tanvi, you're not able to see my screen still. What I could do is stop the share and start again. So let me do that. Okay, so if you see my screen, that means we've at least fixed the first problem. And then Sister Loka is enabling one of us individually, so that might take a couple of minutes. But when you get a pop-up, please accept so that the chat is enabled. And for those that have their chat enabled, feel free to share what is it that we went through last class. We went through what are some of the elements that help us design our destiny according to where we want to be. Remember, we spoke about the two fish bowls, and we said sometimes we do not like where we are in. There are external factors, and those factors being where we are raised, who raises us, where we study, where we work, what kind of social status we are in, what kind of financial status we are in. But besides that, if somebody remembers, anything there, specifically the slide where we spoke about that these value systems work like a compass, and they point us in the right direction of our destiny. And I know some of you are still requesting chat access, and that's because we are still in the process of promoting one by one. So make sure you watch out for that pop-up that will come where when you accept, it might say accept as a panelist, and then you'll be able to share. Like I can see on my screen, we have a couple of people who have moved from attendees to panelists, but a couple of them are still in the attendees list if you see my screen. So if you don't accept that pop-up when you get it, then we will not be able to chat. So please bear with that while that process takes place. But let's jump into what is it we are going to learn today. What we are going to learn today is this. We are going to look at our inner garden, and we are going to look at tolerance. So this is the topic we are going to deal with today. And does anybody want to, for those of you that have your chat window open, do you want to share what tolerance means to you? What does the word tolerance mean to you? When we say the word tolerance, what does it mean? Accepting everything as it comes, correct? Yes. That is tolerance, spiritual love, not to get upset. That's true. What else? What else comes to your mind when we say tolerance? What is it that you need to tolerate? Tolerance is, for me, letting things and people be as they are. Perfect. Yes, power of the soul. That is 100% correct. If things were very natural, and if things were according to what we are expecting them to be, then will we have to accept them, or will we have to tolerate them? What comes first? Does acceptance comes first, or does tolerance comes first? What do you think? Accept. Okay, Subhashini, nice name by the way. Acceptance comes first. What are you accepting when you're before tolerating? What is it that you're tolerating? What is it that you're accepting? Okay, accepting the situations as they come. Okay, what else? What are some of the external things you may not have control over? What kind of events or situations do you think you need to tolerate? Like some things that might be directly affecting you as a person. Other people, external things. Yes, exactly. Let's elaborate on the external things. What are those external things we are tolerating? Let's look at them one by one. Okay. So the definition, as it says, it is our ability to remain internally unaffected with situations, people, and our inner space are not favorable. So pay attention to the word not favorable. Whenever we have a situation where our circumstances or people around us or our inner space is not in a very favorable spot or position, that's the time we have to extend our spiritual power and we have to tolerate. Yes, because we do not have control over anybody else or outside except ourselves. We forget this word very easily, that when situations are non-favorable or not favorable, immediately apply a protective shield of the ability to accept and tolerate. And what are some of the things we need to tolerate? When we have to tolerate basic things. We have a toothache, we have a stomach ache, we have a body sickness. We tolerate that. We accept it. We of course treat it, but we accept it. What about the current market situation right now? Economy is pointing in so many different directions. So we have to tolerate whatever is the circumstance right now. It may not be very favorable. Remember the word not favorable. So it may not be very favorable, but we still have to accept that. Correct. And sometimes we also have to tolerate the fact that we are not as successful at work as we would like to be, but we're not there yet. So tolerance comes into place. Also sometimes, where we are in our life or phase of our life, let's put it that way, we may not be able to provide ourselves the best of the comforts to ourselves, to our family, to our children. Yes, to our children, and that kind of hurts, that kind of make us feel, why is it that we have to tolerate that? But those are the things we need to tolerate. Sometimes you have to also tolerate big heavy traffic, especially in the Bay Area. We are always having traffic delays, and we have extreme weather. Sometimes it's foggy, sometimes it's extremely sunny. So those kind of things. Besides that, we also have to tolerate mistakes that we have made and the result and the outcome of those mistakes. Because remember, when we see the result as not favorable, then we know we've made a mistake, but we have to live with that mistake, which means we have to tolerate that mistake. I mean, we've obviously learned from it and we won't make it again. But because we made those mistakes, we have to tolerate them now. And sometimes we also have to tolerate our own weaknesses. Includes weaknesses of people around us, but we don't focus on that, because our entire lifetime we go focusing on other people's weaknesses. Besides this category that we tolerate, what else do we tolerate? And what is inclusive tolerance? Inclusive tolerance is when we are open and we are receptive to all the differences around us. So this, what I'm sharing with you, is more like a theoretical definition of the word tolerance, correct? But we are exploring them. One by one to see how do we make sure that this I don't want to use the word weakness, but this kind of thorn, maybe we can say, inside our spiritual garden, that we keep it, we watch for it, and we make sure that it's still not preventing our spiritual garden from blooming or we're not and growing. So let's put it that way, okay? Because remember, when we recognize that the beauty lies in diversity, with so many beautiful souls around us, with so many beautiful colors around us, colors of flowers, color of people, color of weather, color of nature, that's what makes it beautiful. And tolerance kind of gives us the ability to coexist very harmoniously inside the same universe that has been created by a very divine energy. So we all learn to coexist and we all appreciate each other's presence in this universe. Sometimes we also have to tolerate people's habits and behaviors and attitudes and their values, their ideas, so many things. And somebody already mentioned in the chat when we started the session that we cannot focus on their weaknesses or their world or try to change them, because that's not the focus. The focus is on us. The focus is we make our spiritual powers so beautiful, so harmonious, and that we include everybody of difference in our world and without letting it affect us. Has anybody wondered why we use the word power of tolerance? We just don't say tolerance, we say power of tolerance, which means it's genuinely a power. It's a power that we have in our hand, in our own capability, and all it takes is to increase that power, make that power more, let's make it more powerful. Yeah, so make the power more powerful. So make the power of tolerance more powerful. Yeah. Yes, all beautiful inputs on the chat. Thank you so much. And this is why we learn together, because everybody shares from their perspective, and that's why this kind of webinars help us understand. Let's look at what are the differences between tolerant versus intolerant kind of things, you can say, or situations, you can say. Does anybody have any clue of what I might be referring to when I say what are some of the things that we can easily tolerate, and there are certain type of things we really have a bit of a challenge to tolerate? So I've just kind of made a broad differentiation between what are some of the things we kind of more readily accept and tolerate, and then there are some category of things we have difficulty or have to actually put an effort to tolerate. What do you think I might be referring to here? When we feel accused or attacked, we become intolerant. Okay, yeah. Okay, past is gone. So you're saying we are more tolerant when we say past is gone? Okay. What else? What else? Think from your own personal lives. What are some of the things that you find more easy to tolerate? Oh, past is gone, forgive and forget. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Totally. I see where you're coming from. Okay. Come from your personal experiences and see what are some of the things you literally had to say, I wish I could have tolerated it a little bit more easily. What are some of those situations when we feel there is injustice? Yes. Yes, you're right. Let's look at some of the situations. We as living beings, we are more tolerant, and we have more acceptance, patience, and these are when we demonstrate to others our tolerant behavior in action. We are more accepting, we have more patience, we are definitely coming from a place of peace and stability. And earlier somebody did mention in the chat also that it's a spiritual power. Yes, it helps us increase our own spiritual power. And you will notice people that are tolerant always, because they have a sense of calmness around them, they're never rushing to do things, they come from a place of clarity. And because of that, they tend to find resolutions faster, because they have learned the art of accepting rather than rejecting and then trying to solve it. And these are also the set of people you will see that always have regard for others. They're very cooperative in nature. They may be different in their opinions and beliefs, but they're very adjusting and accommodating. Mind you, I'm not saying that whatever differences people push your way, accept those ideologies. I'm not saying that. I'm saying is just accept the person as is, or the situation as is. And what are some of the things we're completely intolerant? When we are expecting others to change, and when we have this kind of a behavior, then you will see people will show irritability. Tolerance is equals to eating vegetarian. Thank you, Melanie. People are more impatient and they're very easily irritable. Has anybody noticed that some people might say, "Oh, we don't get angry easily," but they have a very you can easily irk them, you can easily irritate them or get under their skin. Why? Because they have not turned up their power to tolerate. And tolerate, sometimes people take it in the most extreme way, saying, "Oh, tolerate means we have to do so much out of the ordinary, we have to have so much of compassion to accept everything around us." No, but you can demonstrate tolerance in your day-to-day behaviors, in your day-to-day interactions. When we are intolerant in circumstances or situations, what are we doing? We are decreasing our own soul power. We have a very chaotic mind, which is very hard, very rigid in its thinking, and easily gets into conflicts because it's not able to understand that there is so much of diversity around them that we have to learn to coexist with each other, and we have to understand that everybody has a role to play. And when people are expressing their ideologies, their thoughts, their point of view, or their religion, or their spiritual belief system, all they're doing is expressing themselves. They're not here to necessarily argue or get into a very long stretched discussion, debate, or a conflict. All they want to do is express themselves. That's all they're trying to do. They're not trying to do anything more than that. Let me give you a small story. Once one person saw his house burning, and the neighbors knocked on his door and said, "Your house has got fire." And so they tried to help him, and he steps out and he runs out and he tries to get whatever means of water and anything that he can find to help so that the fire does not spread. I have two people raising their hands. Is that a question you have, Daksha Ben? Do you want me to allow you to talk? And Joanne, do you have a question for me? Is your chat working? Daksha, I have enabled you to talk if you're unable to chat.
Hello.
And Joanne, if you have a question for me, do you want to mention it in chat? No questions? Thanks. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, if you don't mind, you can lower your hands, or maybe I can just lower your hand there. And then Daksha, do you have any question that you want me to look at?
No, not right now. I'll let you know in a minute.
Okay, I'm just going to proceed. I guess sometimes things just happen. But if there's something that comes up to your mind, feel free to post it in chat so that we can take a look at it as we go along. So coming back to the story. So this man's house is burning and he comes out and he tries to figure out, how do I stop the fire from spreading? And then then his wife, who had been out of town, she returns and she sees the house burning, and she tells her husband. So the husband runs up to her and he says, honey, obviously she can see what's happening, but he's panicking and he runs to her and he tries to communicate to her like, oh, this is some like emergency, what do we do? So she very calmly tells him, don't worry, we just closed on the house. The house is already sold. All we have to do is leave the house. Now, the husband's reaction immediately changes from panic to no interest. What do you think he was exercising? Was he exercising tolerance? Or was he exercising indifference? Does anybody know what might have been his reaction coming from? Was he coming from, oh, it's okay, I'm just going to tolerate it out because the house does not belong to me anymore? Indifference, indifference, indifference. Correct. So sometimes what happens is, this story actually there is no story. I just wanted to get a reaction from everybody. Sometimes people show indifference, but they think they are tolerating. And that's what we have to watch out for, because when we tolerate people, when we tolerate circumstances, when we tolerate situations, we do it with a positive affirmation, not with the affirmation of carelessness or indifference. So there's a small difference between tolerance and being indifferent. The tolerance is a power of the soul. So we always learn to use it in a positive way. We don't use it in a way of indifference and say, oh, it's okay if whatever is going on around me, I'm a very tolerant soul. No, that's not how we look at it. We look at it that it's an accommodating power. It's a power to accept people. It's a power to accommodate people. It's a power to cooperate with people and circumstances around us. But let's take a closer look at what could be the causes that make us intolerant. What causes us to be intolerant? We already touched upon it in the previous slides, but if anybody wants to put it in a few lines, what do you think becomes a roadblock for us? We want to be tolerant. So I'll give you a hint. We want to be tolerant, but we are not able to tolerate. What could be some of those qualities in us or weaknesses in us or poor or lower spiritual powers in us that don't let us tolerate even when we want to? Ego. Yes, Tanvi. Yes, when someone disturbs our peace, when someone's hurting us. Yes, that's correct. That's when I have given time to change and still nothing. Okay, yeah, so you become impatient and that leads to that you don't have any more tolerance for it. Internal mental disturbances and old sanskars. Actually, yes, you're very, very close to what we are trying to cover right now. What we are going to discuss is this. We are going to take a look at some of the broader categories of what reasons could there be that we want to be tolerant, but we are not. And here's a look. Ego is definitely the big one. You'll be surprised that ego, it's just a 3-letter word, but that can sometimes be a roadblock into so many. This can be a roadblock into so many of our values or our spiritual powers from blooming. And what is ego? Ego is nothing but it's like a falsification of our own self-projected image. So it's like we have come to some kind of an understanding of ourselves, and because of that we make very broad stroke comments and judgments on other people, and we come from a place of arrogance. And you realize arrogance is almost completely opposite of accommodation, cooperation, and adjustment. So when you come from a place of arrogance, then you cannot be an accepting person. You cannot be a very tolerating kind of a person. Also, sometimes remember we spoke about when we do not have a physical means to comfort ourselves or our family or the social structure we come from, then because of that lack of contentment, we are not able to tolerate people around us. It's almost like when we are not content, we don't know how to extend that power of tolerance to other people and let them have it even if we don't have it, right? And we will maybe do another topic on contentment separately, but please understand, when we ourselves are coming from a place of emptiness, then we definitely cannot tolerate other people having it, whatever they have. It may be a small comparison, or it could be a small difference. Just because people are different from us, we tend to override them or judge them or almost discriminate them, which is not a right thing to do in the spiritual world, at least. Also, when we ourselves as a soul show lacking of those vitamins we spoke about in the first class, remember a couple of vitamins we spoke about, that when our own vitamins of peace, love, knowledge, truth, bliss, all of those things, when they are lacking, it's almost like a sick body does not know how to combat the situation. So similarly, a soul that's lacking in some of its vitamins will not know how to accommodate, how to extend, and how to accept, and how to tolerate other people. And definitely a spiritually immature person, a person of spiritual ignorance. And when I say spiritual immaturity, I'm talking about the maturity of the soul, not for how long that soul has been putting effort and has been trying to walk the path of spiritual betterment for themselves, or have been participating in good things. It's not about the longevity, it's not about the length of time they have been doing it. It's how much have they soaked in, how much have they imbibed, how much have they accepted as part of their own individualistic journey. So when people come from, you may see people that have practiced so much immense amount of devotion, immense amount of prayer, immense amount of even meditation. But if they are not able to internalize some of those qualities that is offered as the true nature of the original soul's true nature, then they come across as spiritually ignorant or spiritually immature people. And when I say spiritually immature, these are their immediate reaction to anybody who's different from them is that they will very quickly dismiss such people. They will dismiss things like, oh, this cannot be done. You would have come across people in your lives that are not even willing to try, not even willing to accept, not even willing to see that there can be another viewpoint. Spouses that today have no tolerance for each other, or in the family structure, parents and kids relationship is weakening when it comes to the power of tolerance, because they're not able to see each other as individuals on their own spiritual journey. Souls are put together in a family so that the garden can grow together, but we end up seeing differences more than the positivity or the qualities that each soul brings to the family. And because of that, sometimes we act in a lot of immaturity. We dismiss people around us, we dismiss the loved ones, and anything that's pulling us out of our comfort zone, we are very, very quick to dismiss. These are points of self-checking, so that we check, am I operating from ego? Am I operating from lacking, where I'm always complaining and counting my missings rather than my blessings? Or am I operating from a spiritual immaturity, and I'm not letting other people breathe in bliss around me? I'm not letting other souls nurture and grow and bloom around me. Now, these are some of the causes that make us intolerant, but that's not what we are here to learn. This is more of the diagnostic part of it. Let's learn of how to fix it. If I were to show you this chart and I said that the power of tolerance we can very easily develop, all we have to do is we have to realize that we are all here to play our spiritual roles, and we may be playing those roles in either a male body or a female body, either as a parent, either as a child. And if I give you this synopsis, that soul is a combination of our mind, our intellect, and our sanskars, or our attributes, or our resolves. And then together is what is making a human being. A body plus a soul is making a human being. If I give you this synopsis, can anybody try and help us understand as a group what could be a couple of things that we could do or understand so that we develop a stronger power of tolerance? Do you want to give it a shot? Does anybody want to try to see how we can increase or develop our power of tolerance? And try to understand it in the context of both the body is separate from the soul. How would you develop, or if you already have tolerance, how would you increase it? Be a part of the same light that encases different bodies. Perfect. Yes, that's true. What else? Others are different, not wrong. I like it actually. I like how you put it together. Very nice. Be peaceful and loving. Yes, when you're a peaceful soul and a loving soul, you are naturally more tolerant and more accepting. Yeah. And we journal our own experiences and our reactions so that we know how our thinking is and where our thinking needs to be corrected, if at all. But let's take a look at some of the ways we can increase our power of tolerance. Right off the bat, we will first need to establish ourselves or stabilize ourselves in our true awareness of ourselves. That when we say I or me, what does it mean? So first we need to stabilize ourselves in the awareness that I am not this body that will age and perish. Why? Because I am a soul that's ageless and imperishable. All I will do is change a body. When there are two major events that will happen. One is called life and one is called death. All I'm doing at death is changing my costume and moving on. So when I operate from that awareness, my tolerance towards others around me strengthens. Also, when I remind myself, I am not the only actor in this drama. This is not a solo movie going on. This is a collection of actors that are making a big, large universal drama take place, and I'm aware of each other's roles. When in the family, you're creating a short story. In a society or a community, you're making possibly a longer story. And in the larger universal area, you're creating a bigger story. But I accept every actor is unique, and that's why the casting director has given them those roles to play. And also remember, whenever situations are adverse, remind yourself they've come to create our past karmic accounts, our accounts from the past that we are carrying forward. If they are not cleared, then how do we move forward? How does the soul empower itself through the journey of life and death? This is how the soul empowers itself, right? It clears old sanskars and old karmic accounts by recognizing what it's lacking and where it needs to go. So focus on the destiny where you would like to take yourself, and whatever circumstances are coming, take this as a classroom where you will be given chances to develop newer skills to combat the circumstances around you. Develop the powers you need and keep moving forward. Don't let situations bog you down. They can slow you down, which is fine, because we all take a couple of we need a couple of lessons to actually understand it completely. So through the circumstances that challenge us, don't bog down, just keep moving forward, and remind yourself that the original spiritual father or the universe or the universal light, whatever it is your belief system is, or God, whatever your faith is, whatever you're following is, remember, you were created completely pure, completely flawless like a diamond. And whatever weaknesses we have picked up along with playing our role, these are just temporary things, and they are not part of my original sanskars or original attributes of the soul, as we say. In the first last Sunday's class, we looked at some of those qualities that the soul has. Remind yourself what were those qualities, those vitamins of peace, of love, happiness, knowledge, power, purity, and bliss. Which one is lacking, and what is pulling me down that I'm not able to accept other people in their roles? Accept yourself first, so that you can extend that to people around you. Okay, I think that's all we will have mostly for today, but I would like to show you a couple of slides talking about their expression of what is tolerance. And you can see that toleration does not, when we say to tolerate, it does not mean you have to tolerate and die. No, you don't have to. It is that you live with everybody's heart with love, because you are extending yourself through love. And it's also the ability where you value others and you come from a point of peace, and you accommodate other people's weaknesses, and you don't disregard them because of them being different from you. And again and timing, people have said tolerance is a power. It's almost like building muscles on the soul. And why is it important? It's important because soul is on a journey, and soul will need this so that it doesn't slide downward in its spiritual path. We want to climb up path. So we remove the small weaknesses we may have, and we build our own muscles as we go. I like this one a lot. This one says calmness and tolerance act like an air conditioner in the room, and they increase our efficiency. Practice it today for the rest of the afternoon. When you come from a point of tolerance and when you come from a point of calmness, it's almost like such a cooling energy in your relationships around you. They will immediately sense that you've changed gears spiritually and you're more accommodating off of them. All right. And I know somebody did put out a request on the chat. If I'm able to clear it today, I will. If not, I will encourage you to please email us and we can tackle it then. But you said, so you're sharing that. I'm going to read it aloud for everybody to see if somebody's not reading it already. Joanne shared that she got a serious lesson last Friday that showed her that she was acting out of ego and was intolerant towards others, and that made her sad to think of it. And today's teaching was helpful for her. I'm very happy to hear that, Joanne, and thank you so much for being humble enough to share that with us as a group. I apologize. I've stepped over the hour, but if it's all right with everybody, can we sit in just 2 minutes of togetherness, in peace and in gratitude, and think of ourselves. How will we bring the coolness of the air conditioner to people around us? All we have to do is act is the wrong word. Establish ourselves, the soul, in the power of calmness and tolerance. Let's sit together before we get back to the karmic world where we all have things waiting for us to be done. Just 2 minutes. Let's be together again. And remind yourself that tolerance is the power that's in my own control. And I can increase it. And work on it. If I come from a place of acceptance of everything beautiful, maybe different, but beautiful around me. I'm not the only actor. In this divine drama that's going on. I accept my role. And I also accept very peacefully and lovingly everybody else's. And I stay under the divine big light. Thank you, everybody. It was very wonderful to share the afternoon with all of you. And my apologies for the glitches we had at the beginning of the seminar. We'll try to keep learning. I will put in a little bit more time to learn the back-end technologies so that these things are not repeated. But thank you so much for your patience and your presence and your spiritual energies made such a beautiful environment for the entire class to learn and grow together. And hopefully the takeaway from today's session is we are more calmer, we are more accepting, so that the power of tolerance comes naturally for us, even when the word unfavorable is ringing in our intelligence. All right. So with that, thank you very much and hope to see you again all next Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Om Shanti. Today's session was brought to you by Brahma Kumaris Silicon Valley chapter and was hosted also by the Silicon Valley chapter. So on behalf of the entire team here, thank you and Om Shanti.
Thank you and Om Shanti to you.
Thank you, everyone.
Om Shanti.
Thank you. See you next Sunday.
Om Shanti.
Thank you. Om Shanti. See you next Sunday.